folks, this is all the fruit. Today I'm foraging in the old city of Valencia in Spain. Valencia is on the Spanish east coast, on the Mediterranean coast. USDA hardiness zone 10, that means basically no frost. However, there is a lot of drought. Look at this Fraxinus tree here. The leaves are coming very late and they are coming only on one little twig. And this tree is otherwise pretty healthy. Look at that. I guess it just didn't get enough water to start its spring development. We are at the end of the winter rainy season. They should have been 6 months of a lot of rain. But I saw a lot of those trees, especially the ones which are like more from temperate areas, like pears, linden trees, elm trees and so on. I just came from Germany yesterday. In Germany, all those deciduous trees are much more green, much further developed. Here they just didn't start their development. And since this is a basically frost-free area, I think it's the drought. Bad start. An orange tree. And there is even an orange up there. A whole row of orange trees. Well, since we are in Valencia, you might expect this to be the tasty, sweet Valencia orange. I have to disappoint you. Those are the sour Seville oranges. Here a second one and the third one are hiding. Why do people plant sour oranges throughout the Mediterranean cities? Well, the first reason is that those are much hardier. They don't need spraying, watering. They are good with the city climate. The second reason is, if those were sweet oranges, people would harvest them. Well, this could be a good thing, because otherwise, imagine a couple hundred oranges per tree falling down here would be a mess. And it is a mess in winter when there is citrus season. But the cities basically don't want people to harvest them. Firstly, because they would probably break most of the branches, because if it's not their tree, some people don't really care. The other reason is, even the sour oranges have a lot of uses. This is the first orange that arrived to Spain with the Moors or with the Arabs. And well, the sweet orange, yeah, it's sweet. You can eat it, you can make juice from it, and that's it more or less. The sour orange has so many more uses. The sour juice is very good for lemonades. It is a lemon substitute. Oil can be obtained from almost every part, from the seeds, from the rind of the fruit, also from the leaves and from the rind of the tree. But basically those things are being harvested with big machines in winter, which harvest like most of the fruits, reducing the mess. And then they are being used. Usually not directly for food, but for cosmetics and other purposes. Yeah, those are the reasons why they grow sour oranges, which are even called bitter oranges, and not sweet oranges. But from time to time, even in Mediterranean cities, you find sweet oranges, grapefruits, lemons, mandarins, calamansis, kumquats. You just have to check every tree. 90% will be the sour orange. 95 to 98% will be the sour orange, but the rest might be a tasty treat. Well, checking the weeds, however, there are so many coffee spilled here, and doggies, and probably also men peeing here. This is some species of lamb squatters. They are usually all pretty tasty and nutritious, but nah, not here, folks. Not with all those dried puddles of stuff. The Arabs also introduced the date palm cultivation here. Well, it is their major fruit tree. And yeah, the good thing is here in Valencia they have mostly Arabian date palms. Those are the ones with the good fruits. From time to time they have Canary Island date palms, which are not that big and tasty, but most are the Arabian ones. Those are all Arabian ones, not a single Canary Island date palm here. But they all seem to be blooming. I hoped, well, the only good thing about dry and rainless winter would be that there would be good dates, but they don't seem to be in season. Most of those things are flowering, and I haven't seen a single one with fruits around here yet. Finding more edible greens in places too dirty to eat them. Here is some little mustard. I forgot the species, but all mustards are edible. The mustardy taste and smell, it is a toxin. The German name is Senfölglycoside. I don't know the English name, but we had to learn this thing in first semester. Yeah, all the mustards contain Senfölglycoside. It was still better than some other toxins we had to learn. Benzylisochinolin alkaloide, which are easier to translate, benzylisochinolin alkaloids. But Senfölglycoside basically means mustard oil glucosides. And all the mustards have them, so all mustards are toxic, which makes the mustardy taste, and despite that, they're tasty at being eaten. The Judas tree flowers are also tasty at being eaten, those pink things there, but they're all a little bit too high for now. I always forget the name of this ornamental onion relative. Is it the one I'm thinking about? Yep, it smells of onions. One very important rule of thumb of foraging is don't eat anything that looks like an onion but doesn't smell like an onion. There are a lot of lily relatives which are so toxic they will kill you. But if it looks like an onion, it smells like an onion, and then after that also tastes like an onion, it's usually good. And this is one of the tastiest ones, and it's so beautiful that it's often used as an ornamental. Wood sorrel, not related to the normal sorrel, full of oxalates, and oxalates not in the needle form but in the dissolved form. That's what makes the sourness. Those oxalates will turn into needles, usually inside your kidneys. If you eat too much of plants containing oxalates like sorrel, wood sorrel, spinach and so on, and especially if you don't drink enough, the oxalate needles will form in your kidneys. Those are known as kidney stones, so be very careful eating oxalate-rich plants and always hydrate properly. Should have done this differently, so always be careful when eating oxalate-rich foods and always hydrate properly. Of course, the most important resource is water, especially in such a dry area and after drought. The Romans built extensive aqueducts here. Soon we'll visit the Valencia water court, the oldest court of justice in the world. Tourists always misbehaving, says the professional fruit thief tourist. Well, the water court of Valencia is the oldest court of justice in the world, and the oldest recorded democratic institution in the world. There were probably other ones before that. Yeah, but water. The Spanish coast is producing the majority of Europe's fruits and veggies in winter. And so water, especially in such times of drought, is not exactly worth its weight in gold, but if you think properly, it is actually worth more than gold. It's just heavier, despite being proportionally lighter. Well, this place here is being watered. So, well, I think the geraniums are kind of edible/medicinal, but I don't have experience with eating them. A lot of chickweed, a very tasty salad. Here a little, it's a coronopus, basically a mustard. Here, 2 species of sonchus, also edible. Over there, an amaranth, also an edible plant. If you think everything is edible here, no. There are a couple little spurges, and they are toxic. And here, a Conuzza albida, which I learned is also edible. Pity the myrtles are not in season. Basically, the fruits look like little blueberries, taste a lot tangier and more of raisin than blueberries, but yeah, totally edible, just not in season. And look at that. Even this hardy Mediterranean plant is slowly drying up. The dwarf palm, the only palm native to the Spanish mainland and to the European mainland. It is maybe not the most frost-hardy palm in the world, but the one by far that's growing the furthest north. There are wild populations in Europe on the same geographical latitude as southern Canada. The fruits are edible, but most of them are of very bad quality. I wonder why it was never domesticated, like tastier fruits being bred. Or maybe it was domesticated, but later it was displaced by the much tastier date palm. Who knows? Maybe it's a forgotten fruit tree of ancient Europe. They're putting up those temporary markets everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but in many places in the city, and they all look the same. I wonder if some big old city market is coming up. Oh. And look at that. Look at this. Well, no, I'm not looking at the nice woodworking. I'm looking at the decoration. This is ephedra, folks. Well, I got a lot of videos demonetized because I said things which YouTube doesn't like. But those dried plants hanging from the ceiling are poor crystal, well, you know, those crystals which white people like to use, like to cook in their garages and then use. This is the natural one. I think you'll figure it out yourself. Here we have again this little onion. Here it already starts flowering. The flowers are the tastiest part. Yeah. And this looks like a big onion. However, is it a big onion or is it some lily? Not sure if it smells like onion because I just ate the little one. Be careful, folks. A lot of the things around here are edible. Others will kill you. For example, this oleander. Look at that. What a drought. Even the oleander is suffering at the end of the rainy season. Well, very common in the rivers in the Mediterranean. Very beautiful pink flowers. Basically, it turns Mediterranean riverbeds, dried up Mediterranean riverbeds in summer into fields of pink blooms. Horribly toxic. You use this thing to make a campfire, or you put your marshmallows on those sticks. You are lucky if you end up in a hospital. Yeah, was used to poison dogs, rats, mice, people, everybody. Yeah, and it's a very popular ornamental. So don't eat randomly everything that grows in a park, because there are unfortunately a lot of things in the parks which will kill you even in small doses. Pomegranate. This thing is native to the eastern Mediterranean. It is one of those amazing fruits. It can grow in southern Russia. There are even people growing it with a lot of protection in southern Canada. But at the same time it grows in equatorial lowlands. One of the very few fruits that can do that. And here it's being attacked by lots of little lice. Yeah, look at that. Cherry plum flowering season is basically over in Germany. Here they are flowering despite the climate here being much hotter. I think they just didn't have enough water in winter even to develop enough leaves. You can see this thing didn't develop a lot of leaves. And flowers are even a bigger problem. Whenever a plant is struggling and thinks, it feels, and what do plants do? And senses it can survive, it puts its energy into leaves instead of into flowers and fruits. If it senses it will die, it puts all its energy into fruits. That's why the last 1 or 2 years before a fruit tree dies, it might give you some very big yields. Yeah, this one still thinks it can survive. I'm sure they are being watered from time to time, because in those raised concrete things, they wouldn't be able to survive dry periods without that. I mean, look at that. Even the olives are suffering. The olive is the indicator of the Mediterranean climate. Wherever you can grow an olive, successfully. There is the Mediterranean climate. Well, but I guess it doesn't go for growing them 1.5 meters above ground. Speaking of above ground, tasty Judas tree flowers are like at least 3 meters above ground. And another indicator of the drought, look at it, there are a lot of fruits and at the same time there are flowers. They sent out 2 or maybe even more cohorts of flowers, meaning they didn't put all their energy into flowering at once. I think this is all because of the drought. For me right now, all those droughts might just be an inconvenience. Wherever I go, Germany, Spain, Canary Islands, Borneo, mostly wherever I go, there is a drought and the fruit season is not so good. But those droughts are threatening over 1 billion people in the Mediterranean and the Middle East and Africa with their existence. If you cannot produce food, you start wars, you start migrations, you start quarreling. That's why the Valencia water court is more, well, not more, but just as important now than it was 1,000 years ago. We gotta get to the location of the water court soon. Look at that. This is a bad drought. Even the ornamental pears sent out just a couple leaves and a couple flowers. This thing should be covered in leaves by now. And also the flower should long be gone. It should be covered in young fruits by this time. Very bad sign. I knew it. Another side of the drought, and I'm seeing it just where I'm seeing a green tree. This is Sophora japonica. There are a lot of them here in the city, and I wondered why in the middle of April they still have no leaves. This one has leaves at most of the branches. Over there, look, there is a whole row, almost no leaves on them. And even the mature trees, most of them were without leaves. Yeah, even this one doesn't look like it's supposed to look. It should have twice the amount of leaves right now. But the other ones, almost no leaves at all. Very bad sign, very bad drought. Oh, Boston fern. This one has a lot of small edible, well, balls inside the ground. It's not that they contain too many nutrients or something, but they are nice and crunchy and edible. Central market of Valencia. It's magnificent, it's gigantic, and it should be full of wonderful, mostly locally produced fruits and veggies. The Huerta of Valencia is one of the most important fruit and veg producing areas in all of Spain. And Spain is the most important fruit and veg producer in all of Europe. Let's check it out. But I gotta do a separate video on the market. I'm inside the market, and I must say, not only is the building magnificent, the selection is just divine. So many locally produced things, so many exotic things. I keep seeing things which I didn't cover during the market video, but if you come to Valencia, visit the markets, not once, visit it every day. Get a room near the market, stay at the market day and night, it's totally worth it. Leaving the market through the seafood section, which is of course also super impressive. I mean, look at that, 3 different types of sea urchins. Yeah, and I'm not too loaded. I bought a lot of stuff. I spent a ton of money, but most of it was just small, super expensive stuff, so at least not gonna break my back or explode. Oh, on the other side of the market, finally queen palms. A beautiful palm with a horrible name, Syagrus romansophiana. Horrible name for such a beautiful palm. It has some of the tastiest palm fruits if you are lucky. But maybe it's a seasonal thing. Maybe it's due to the drought. I don't see any fruits. I mean, in Seville, I managed to get some in March, so it shouldn't be a seasonal thing. Seville is not one of the most subtropical cities of Spain. I don't know why I don't see any fruits. No unripe fruits, no flowers, no nothing, just oat inflorescence. It's pity. The fruits are very tasty, and so are the seeds, which are basically like tiny coconuts without the water. Right next to the market is the silk market. This big impressive building, which you have to pay money to get in. Some people maybe don't know that silk is a protein made by animals. Yeah, basically if you're wearing silk clothes, you're wearing worm poo. And those worms, they are very picky. They eat nothing but mulberry leaves. And silk production was a big business here between the 16th and 18th century. You know what this tells me? This tells me that in the surroundings of Valencia there still should be a number of at least 200 to 400 year old mulberry trees. And I'm determined to find them. Silk is an expensive commodity, and those bars are massive. And this is just the entrance to the courtyard of the silk exchange. Did you see those oranges? Behind such thick bars, those could be sweet oranges. No bars of any thickness are gonna stop me from stealing those. Here we are, and yes, those are not the Sevilla oranges, those are the sweet ones of the Valencia persuasion. And over there, I see something else, mandarins. And some Italian tour guide just mentioned lemons. Who needs lemons if we have oranges and mandarins? Now how are we gonna get them with my tiny size? And they're different. Those look like juicy oranges. Those are some totally different type. Yeah, how to get those things? So here we have the lemons. Why am I so small? Why am I not 3 or 4 feet taller? Then I would have no problem stealing those things. Too many people. Don't want to get kicked out before I see the silk market. Oh well, I guess this is an appropriate place to trade worm poo. Well, guano or bird poo caused a lot of wars. And actually with the silk, it was a little bit similar. For thousands of years the Chinese had a monopoly on it until I think it was a Byzantine monk, a Byzantine bishop even, who stole a couple of silkworm cocoons in his sacred bishop stuff, and thus introduced them to the West. And as you can imagine, worm poo is pricey. And yes, most of those old medieval and Renaissance and so on buildings, they did have wooden ceilings, wooden doors and windows, often also wooden walls, but in most of them they've burnt away. Here some of this stuff has been preserved. I guess over there they didn't dare to make too much wooden things in order to not burn the silk in case of fire. I want those. Oh, and when you have wooden ceilings, why not cover them with gold? Yeah, as I said, worm poo is pricey. An olive tree, one of the most important crops in the Mediterranean, and maybe the most important climate indicator for Mediterranean climate. This year could be well over 100 years old. I wonder if it was originally planted. No, probably not. We are here in the old town. This has been a densely populated city for hundreds of years, so I think it was planted as an ornamental. It's not a remnant of an old olive plantation. It's not old enough for that. It's currently in flower. Yeah, very important climate indicator. To the north, it's too cold to grow olive trees. To the northeast, it's too cold and too dry. To To the south, it's too dry. To the east, it's again too dry. To the west, at northwest, it's usually too wet to grow olives. So wherever you can grow olive, you have, well, wherever you can successfully grow olives as a crop, not wherever you can make a tree survive, you have the Mediterranean climate. Well, a couple years ago, a very harsh frost struck Spain, so I predicted that immediately the prices of veggies will double, the prices of fruits will double for the next couple years, and the prices of olive oil will double for the next couple decades. And yeah, that's what happened. The veggies became very expensive immediately. The fruits also became very expensive and stayed expensive for years until the young fruit trees could catch up. Because of course the veggies, fruit trees and olives got damaged by the cold spell. And the olives, unlike the veggies and fruits, they need decades to recover, or the young trees to be big enough for a decent crop. And so now, yeah, I paid almost €4 for 250 milliliters of olive oil. That's the price I would have paid for 700 milliliters in Germany just a couple years ago. Yeah, man. So the climate around here is usually quite subtropical, but from time to time, like every couple decades, those areas get hit hard. And when the Spanish agriculture gets hit hard, consumers in all of Europe suffer. The poisonous paternoster tree, or Melia cedera. See those little fruits up there? It's very ornamental and with very good timber. And I think the saponins can also be used for a lot of things. Also the oil inside the seeds is quite useful. And also the seeds are being used for rosaries. That's why it's called paternoster tree, because paternoster, our Father, is like the standard Christian prayer. Unfortunately, those rosaries, as soon as you start kissing them or giving them to little children, people die, because those things are toxic. Oh, finally a bit of greenery. I see a lot of goodies. Those are large dum-dum shrubs. However, they don't really seem to be in season. Flowers, one unripe fruit. Here we are. Oh. Well, it's a bit on the small side, but tasty. Sweet and delicious. Oh yeah, baby. I want more of those. Seems it was an outlier. I think here, maybe because of the cold or maybe because of the drought, there were basically no fruits ripening throughout the winter. Pity. What else do we have here? A couple little palm trees, cichas. Don't go near cichas, they are toxic. This is some strelitzia. Again, a lot of ornamental pears suffering from the drought. Even the desert date palms are not looking too green. Oh, a lot of nice Mediterranean spices. Could this be? Well, this was something very spicy. Yeah, but not what I expected. Yeah, it is very spicy. Some lavender behind it. Rosemary and thyme. Oh yeah, rosemary, Mediterranean thyme. Over there a nice lavender. Lots of nice herbs and spices, but before you can use those you need something to spice up with. Check this out. Kumquats. Kumquats being grown. Very high. Okay. Where are the cops? No cops. Delicious. The sweet rind and the sour juice inside. Those things are perfectly ripe. Perfect balance of sweet and sour, if you can handle it, because they're very sweet and very sour. Kumquats are so great. Couple more olive trees, probably barely 150 years old. Those are babies for olive standards. Hope to find the couple ones which are like about 2,000 years old around here. Parietaria, a non-spiny relative of stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is a very tasty, very nutritious, very healthy snack, but it's stinging. And I only recently learned that Parietaria can be used just like stinging nettle. Well, I gonna eat the whatever out of this thing soon. But like so many animal things in this city, they are behind massive bars. This is the very spot where the Valencia water court is gonna be held tomorrow. No, not in this fancy building. This court predates things like fancy courthouses, judges, lawyers, and other such riffraff. They meet right here in the open, and they have met through so many different political systems, a lot of different, very different Islamic states, a lot of very different Christian states. They've survived wars, revolutions. Why are they meeting out here? Well, it's a farmers' court. They are farmers, and they are just deciding things about water. And if you think, okay, a couple farmers meeting on the stairs of some fancy building talking about water, nobody cares about that. Nope. Every decision of this court is final. Nobody. Not the Spanish state, not the Spanish legal system, not the EU. Nobody can overthrow the decisions of those couple farmers who meet here in the sun, in the rain, in the wind. And despite they're being responsible just for a very small part of the Spanish agriculture, their reputation and the respect for them is so great that they are being asked to solve water problems throughout the world. Tomorrow I'm gonna be here and make a long video about them. What are those citruses? Let me guess. Since they are behind bars, they should be the good edible oranges. A lot of young green fruits here. I don't know if you can see them. Too young to be absolutely sure what they are. Here, a lemon tree. However, somebody has foraged all the ripe lemons. Here are a couple unripe ones. I wonder how good unripe lemons are. Everybody is selling unripe limes, although the ripe limes are also good. Why is nobody selling unripe lemons? There are a couple ripe ones up there. Oh, and there is even an access into this little park. Ah, well, if they are inviting me so nicely into this park, or if they are failing to prevent me from entering, that's what I'm gonna do. It's a little bit... No, actually, is it a little bit early? I think it's a little bit unusual to have all those unripe fruits in April, but I might be mistaken. Haven't seen a lot of unripe bitter oranges in April. Yes, those are the bitter or sour oranges actually. Are all of them the bitter or sour ones? Yeah, those don't look like the sweet oranges. Oh, and no, we are not making a video about this one here. Definitely not. Ah, okay. That's why they let me in, because there is nothing forageable in here. Any goodies in this little park near the city walls? Well, here is a Washingtonia, a palm native to the US and Mexico. This is the first heart of palm I ever harvested, and one of the tastiest. Some Canary Island date palms. Well, the heart is usually bigger than with the Arabian date palms, but the fruits are not so good, and you can harvest the heart only once, because there is only one, and without the heart, we die, and so does the palm. At the top of a city gate, hoping to be able to look a bit further to find more forageable stuff. Oh, now that's the biggest murder hole I've ever seen. What's a murder hole, you ask? Well, a hole through which you murder people. They are down there. Well, you are up here. All advantages are on your side. Close both gates, and then just throw down whatever you like. Now we are talking business. From up here, you can check the surroundings. That's why humans always like to sit on high places with a nice view, like the seashore, cliffs, high trees. That's why they build towers like this one. You can see whether the wind is good for fishing, which way the mammoths are moving, if the mango trees are flowering, what the neighboring tribe is doing. So, let's check it out. Nothing forageable around here. Poisonous Paternoster trees. The sea of rocks. That's why cities are also called urban deserts. Basically made up of stone. All the water is evaporating. All the surfaces are reflecting sunlight. Cities are a lot, not a little bit, but a lot drier and hotter than the surrounding countryside. Well, the positive thing is in the city climate you can grow plants which you cannot grow in the natural climate of an area. But does it make up for all this lack of greenery and of animal things? When I looked at this stair, I mean, you cannot really say it's forbidden. There is a big hole in here. But when I looked at them, the guy came to me and said, no. Those fortress and castle stairs, they always spiral in one direction, so that when you're fighting from up there, defending, your right hand is at an advantage. Jokes on them, I'm left-handed. Oh well, I guess then every army would just put me at the front, attacking through those narrow stairwells. No, I'm right-handed, I'm totally right-handed. Even better, I'm not eligible for military service, thank you. A row of banana ashes, or flowering ashes. As you can see, only 2 out of 7 trees are looking kind of okayish. This is one of the plants that produce banana, you know, the thing that the Israeli tribes ate in the desert. Banana is basically low's poo or lice poo, but since it contains mostly sugar, it's a good energy food. But what's concerning me more is that this tree that's used to grow on super hot and dry Mediterranean cliffs is suffering here. This drought is serious, folks. Foraging tree, one of those survival trees from Australia. It will give you food of a lot of different types and also water if you find it in the Australian desert. And at the same time, it will try to hurt, maim, and incapacitate you with its itchy little glockets. So if you do anything wrong, this is not a tree of survival, this is a tree of death. but I don't see any of the edible fruits, and for all the other edible parts I would have to dig underground. Strelitzia Nicolai. This does not only look like a banana, it's also called the Cameroon banana? No, it doesn't have bananas, but the seeds of the fruits are edible. It's not a major food source, but in a survival situation, it's good to know that you can open those structures that might find edible, high-caloric seeds inside. A hackberry tree. Those usually ripen in autumn, but if you are lucky, there is an out-of-season crop which will be ripe now. No, the fruits already have reached their final size, but they are still green. Those will probably not ripen in autumn, they will ripen in summer, like maybe in August or so. A lot of people say it tastes like candy. It is quite sweet, a bit like dates, but there is just about 1 millimeter of edible flesh between the thick skin and the big seed. And it's not in season either. Oh, what is this? This half-dead specimen could be a lot of things, including a half-dead kaffir plum. Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but it's the only name for the plant I know. An African tree that has plum-like fruits. I don't know, it might also be a lot of other things. And also here you can see the trees are being watered. So they are trying to save their trees, of course. It's extremely expensive and time-consuming to water trees, and even in Germany, Biodiversität, strange. Well, even in Germany nowadays, gardeners are complaining that all summer and often a big part of spring and autumn they do nothing but watering and have no time for other work. But watering is still cheaper than replanting new trees all the time. So good that they water them here. However, it's definitely not enough. The way those things look, well, they need several times more water than what they are getting. Little Botanic garden has a very impressive wall, and a very impressive entrance. Let's see if it lives up to the expectations you get when you see this. Actually, this might be just some institute which is kind of associated with the Botanic garden. Yeah, where is the entrance? Definitely not in the Garaje Privado. That's the entrance. So this really is part of the Botanic garden. Impressive. Let's see if my tourist card allows me free access. Took 40 cents off my ticket. 40 cents are 40 cents. Also, this seems to be a very popular botanic garden. Let's hope it really is that good. Oh, that's the biggest Quercus virginiana I've ever seen. It's from the US. And, well, here in Spain, the oaks are mostly important as fodder for the best tasting pigs. What do you think the oaks, the main purpose of the oaks was in the US? Well, even at the time when the US was kind of a small and mostly insignificant country, they had some of the best battleships in the world, because they had some of the best oak timber in the world. White oaks and what was the other one? Black oaks, red oaks, and because of this combination, they were able to build almost indestructible battleships from those oaks. There is actually a movie about this, Master and Commander, when the French had this indestructible ship. Actually, the Americans never sold it to the French. Nope, the British defeated the indestructible American ship with some tricks. But that's the point. They had to use tricks because there was no normal, straightforward way to defeat it because of those trees. When you look at the size of this, look at those people passing right in front of it. It should be about 7 feet in diameter or well over 2 meters. Yeah, when you look at those oak trees, you can't believe how the Americans managed to build those super battleships. And also I'm sure there is a way to remove the bitterness from the acorns and use them for food. This looks edible. It's in the toxic yew family. Cephalotaxus fortunei, the label says. Yes, yes, yes. I think this is some plum yew. A yew which has edible fruit-like structures, but if you eat the wrong part you die, so better don't. Oh well, this is a botanic garden. We should do a separate video on it. Oh, Orinoco ortopocho bananas. Look at the size of those bad boys. However, don't rip them off the plant, especially not when they're still unripe. This is a banana which does not ripen on the shelf. You have to leave it on the pseudostem until it is ripe. And the banana, but the Europeans don't use it, but in Asia, in many banana species and varieties, it's actually more highly esteemed than the fruits themselves.